Stroke is a focal neurological deficit, which is of no other origin but cardiovascular in origin.
Depression is the leading cause of disability. Depression on its own is a persistent feeling of sadness, persistent feeling of hopelessness.
Hello viewers, you're welcome to HealthWatch and Advent Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN. I am Angela Emeka Ebibo. I'm so excited about the topic we're discussing today. This is one area I love. I am passionate about it. I have seen the effect in my life and in the life of so many. We shall be discussing your food and your health. Whenever we hear healthy food, we start thinking expensive, or for those that can afford it. Or like a friend once told me, healthy eating now for Yimbo people, and that is for foreigners. Now, a healthy lifestyle generally means maintaining a balanced and nutritious diet, as well as engaging in fitness-related activities. Take note of the words balanced and nutritious diet, because we are going to understand these words today. According to the WHO, only 1 in 10 people exercise regularly, and majority don't even follow a healthy diet. So on the program today, my guest and I shall be discussing about the topic, your food and your health, as I earlier introduced. My guest is Goodwill Ogbuefi and is a public health commentator. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. And the last time we talked about I think COVID, when we were here, we discussed COVID, and you're back here on my program. Good to have you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you for coming. So, you and your health, your food and your health, that's what we want to talk about today. And just as I said in introduction, this is one area I love so much. I can research, read about it, talk about it all day, because I know the impact it has on the body. But just to lay a foundation for us, from the introduction, we talked about healthy lifestyle generally means maintaining a balanced and nutritious diet. So the basic, which I assume everybody would know, but sometimes you can't assume too much. So what's a balanced diet? In a simple layman's term, what's a balanced diet?
For any child who has gone through primary and secondary, they should have been taught what balanced diet is. For the general audience, balanced diet simply means food that contains the 6 components of nutrients. In this case, you're talking about protein, carbohydrates, vitamins, fats and oil, mineral salts, and water. Any food that contains these things in equal measures or in the correct amount it should be is considered a balanced diet. So for an African man, if your food you take from morning, afternoon and night contains these essential nutrients in the recommended amount they are supposed to be, you're eating well. So the problem is, do our regular food, what we eat daily, are they balanced?
That's a good question to ask. What we eat. Okay, so from the balanced diet, just to conclude on that, does each meal have to contain carbohydrate, protein, fat and oil, minerals? Of course, water is standard. I don't know how you live without water after eating. Or can you spread it through the day?
Absolutely.
Say you can eat something more carbohydrate based in the morning, and then by afternoon protein based, but just balance it and then have vegetable in all of them. I mean, is that what you're saying?
In practice, that's not, you can have all the nutrients in most foods, because some of our foods are a little bit tilted to one nutrient to the other. But you should, over the course of the day, maintain a balanced diet. So in essence, Africans tend to tilt towards, and Nigerians, towards foods that are carbohydrate-rich foods. Swallow, yam, and all that.
Rice.
Yes, yes. But what we're saying is, if you have taken a lot of carbohydrate, you should also make sure you augment your meals here and there, in the afternoon, in the night, so that you have proteinous nutrients also, vitamins. So if I take, for example, yam and stew in the morning, why don't I look at beans and plantain porridge in the afternoon, and take something else in the evening that would also contain other nutrients like vegetable and all that.
Yeah.
Of course, you could also structure your meal that every meal is balanced. So you could have a main meal, have an appetizer, or a dessert that contains essential nutrients.
Which is highly unachievable.
Which is not really
very practical world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's a far stretch for a regular Nigerian.
But if you can afford it, if you can, why not?
Why not?
It's every time you take small soup of maybe green vegetable soup, then you eat something else. I don't know, but that's one of the things we want to establish here. Now, normally if you go online and just Google healthy living, you see beautiful pictures of foods that sometimes you can't even pronounce their name. In my introduction, I talked about a friend of mine. When you talk of healthy living, he said, all this na healthy eating talk. Now for Igbo people, leave us make with the chop our own. But you know, it's because what is being presented. You see, when you talk of healthy, you see more of foreign vegetable and fruits. Feels like every other thing is like a taboo. You know, when people look at it, the first thing that comes to mind is healthy eating is expensive. In your own opinion, do you think healthy eating is expensive, especially in this climate where we stay?
It depends.
Okay.
If you are a Nigerian and your diet is foreign based, it's going to be expensive. Yes. If I want to eat almonds and nuts and take a lot of pastries that are foreign based, pizza and all that, it's going to be expensive. But of course, for Nigerians, we are actually blessed with a lot of local foods that can enrich one's experience when eating. So for us, there are many ways you can eat and at the same time do it at a low cost. So take, for example, the eastern part of Nigeria. There are lots of menus that are vegetable based. Ugu, bitter leaf, and all that don't really cost much on a daily basis. You go to the north, the same thing. You go to the west, the same thing. The issue is finding local foods that don't necessarily cost much. So if you needed help with vitamins, there are lots of oranges locally available. Vitamin C, cashews available that supply rich vitamins, carrots, mangoes. This is a mango season, dry season. So you have a whole lot you could take in every day that will supply you daily requirements of vitamins. You don't need to import something like strawberry.
Exactly, because when they want to make smoothie, they'll say strawberry, raspberry, all the berries, and you're wondering, we ain't got any strawberry and raspberry. And when you see strawberry on the street, it's like so expensive that you're wondering, do I need this
for the ordinary Nigerian?
For the ordinary Nigerian who, so if I want to take something that is nutritionally similar or something, what kind of foods would I be looking at? Because one of the things again is we have good food, and I want us to look at some of this food. Let's know which one is good. Take, for example, the staple food everybody eats, abacha. What do you think?
Abacha is a clear example of a local food, very rich with fibers. It's made from cassava materials, and then you have a lot of vegetables added.
I don't know the English. I'm trying to think of what the English
African salad.
African salad is what we call it.
So that's a clear example of a locally sourced food that don't cost much. Every here and there you can source it from somebody and prepare. Palm oil, cassava, materials that are cut into shape.
Onion,
palm oil, salt. and a few locally sourced spices.
Yes.
Like ogiri and koa. So you have other things there like garden egg leaves and all that. That's a clear example of a locally sourced food. And every day people eat it across the country.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend so much to take abacha. Every village eats abacha in the eastern part of Nigeria. And even to
and now
other
even
parts.
in town, you see it around. People take it around. If you don't like the hot one, you can get the people package it well and sell it, send it to you.
Yes.
You know, and they add fish. You know, some add grilled fish to it, and
yes. So you look at proteinous foods. Beans, porridge. Beans is locally available, whether white, brown, or in between.
yes.
So if I need a resource of protein, I will turn to a locally sourced beans. I could just add a few other materials like plantain if I want to go the extra mile, or a few vegetables. With that alone, I have about 5 or 6 classes of food in there. Yes. So you don't have to go far to get that experience. Then you look at some of the locally sourced soups. They are very rich. The southern parts are very known, particularly the south, for very good vegetable-based meals like a dikaikong, afam soup, and the normal vegetable soup, rich in water leaf, ugu, and here and there fish and other things they bring in periwinkles. So we do have a wide array of meals you can take, and they don't have to cost that much. The question is, how do you make it more attractive for the ordinary man, that we don't look to the West or outside the country, Western civilizations, US, Europe and all that? Well, how do we get our people to look at what we have here and then consume them more?
For example, the other day I was, somebody was talking about, I think they saw on TV, carrots and all that, baby carrots, all of that in a bowl. And I said, well, just go and buy garden eggs with granite, which in most places 50 naira, 100 naira, you've got it. And that's a lot of fiber going into the body.
A lot.
You have carrots, they hawk. Sometimes you see some women carry 50, wash it, which is very important. You wash and then you chew the carrot. It's healthy. Leave strawberry and raspberry and
no, you don't need this.
Yes, you don't need all of that. You focus. Now we have, I think it's called star fruit in English. It's called abalumo in Yoruba and odara in Igbo. I don't know what it's called in the north. But that is now in season. It's something you can also, these are rich in vitamins that will help you, you know, in terms of
supplying you with
the necessary nutrients,
yes,
you know, that you need.
Yes.
I know sometimes even now the pineapple and watermelon, they are pretty expensive.
Okay.
You know, at the moment.
Yes.
But for me, there's a woman that sells close to me, so she slices them and sells them 100 naira. So when you buy one slice of watermelon, a slice of pineapple,
you go home
and you have a full. You have almost your 5 a day.
Yes.
You know, so you do. Sometimes we look at the big, expensive food,
materials.
With your, at least the 500 naira, you can manage 3-4 days of eating.
Yes. And interestingly, if you are in the rural part of Nigeria, fruits and vegetables are easily sourced in the city. Yes. So that shouldn't be a factor for you. Sourcing vegetables or fruits. There are places in Nigeria where cashews are littered everywhere. Mangoes are littered everywhere. Places like Kogi and Benue, where they have large strips of land. So if you're in those places, you could source as much as you need. So for even those who are in the city, like you just talked about, buying it in smaller bits, slices, you know. Vitamins are very important source of nutrient because they are anti-inflammatory and also antioxidants. So when you say anti-inflammatory, they combat any inflammation the body have due to infections.
Okay.
So even when people were talking about COVID, people were asked to take anti-inflammatory substance in addition to going for treatments. You know, when you have malaria, you still, after taking the malaria drugs, you still go for. So fruits provide regular dose of anti-inflammatory compounds that help the body come back to normal. Orange, for example, contains vitamin C, which is an essential organic compound that allows the body, you know, to relax when you have certain kind of infections. So of course, most times you see they are now in capsules. But if you have them, you in drug supplements. So, but if you have them naturally, why not take them?
And we have a lot of them. Sometimes we just don't want to. Some people even plant fruits in their house, in their homes, and just wake up. I know when I was younger, we had avocado tree. We had orange tree. We had, so when it was season, you just had them everywhere. You just plucked and ate as much as you wanted. You wanted.
That's why for those who much older, they stay longer.
Yeah.
If you look at the way their diets were, a woman who gave birth to 10 children in the 50s, a modern woman can do that. Their diets were very rich, very rich in vegetables, anti-inflammatory substances like fruits that contain anti-inflammatory substances were part of their regular diet. So that helps a lot. We tend to be tilting more to dairy-based food, that's milk, animal-based foods like milk and all that, and then a lot of carbohydrate that sometimes makes the balanced diets to not be achieved in our daily intake. So for example, if I go to work and all I'm taking is a bottle of Coke and fish roll, the Coke contains essentially sugar.
And no nutrients, absolutely.
And very few other little nutrients that are not highly needed in the body. So then I take fish roll. It's just flour, which is carbohydrate.
Because one time I went somewhere, we were discussing on this, eating most of this baked food you pick from the, maybe from, you just go somewhere and they're selling it. And I asked them, let's do an analysis of the content of what they're eating and see if you can find what you call food from it. You have a bowl of vegetable soup. Let's look at it. You have vegetable, there's you have minerals in it.
Yes.
You have iron.
You have fat.
You have, yes, in vegetable soup, you have fat, which is the palm oil. You have protein, which is your crayfish. That's food. Now let's look at meat pie. You have flour.
Yes, which is carbohydrate.
Then you have all the
condiments.
All those condiments they add in it, which you can't classify as food. They are almost chemicals.
No, you can't classify them as food because the meat pie, for example, they sauce it from Irish potato, and then little meat parts. But sometimes in preparing them, some of those nutrients have really been severely reduced. So by the time you are taking them in, the nutrients aren't at the maximum in those pastries. They are fried, some of the nutrients are lost in the process. By the time you take them, you're not taking a complete diet.
Okay. You're not taking something good into your body.
Not something, you're taking something reasonable, but not where you should be.
So that it's not nutritious.
Not nutritious.
It doesn't have nutrients in it.
Enough
nutrients in it.
And then, given the fact that some of those nutrients are not needed in the body in large quantities. So take, for example, carbohydrate. When you have them in large quantities and they're broken down to glucose, you could start having diabetes down the line. Then you take a bottle of Coke, sugar. Down the line, you may have diabetes. So why spend time having meals that have large quantities of a particular nutrient that can also affect or create disorders down the line, let's say 5-10 years. So you see people having diabetes in their 30s, not just for 50s, 40s. So you have young people having diabetes, old people having diabetes because we're the nutrients are tilted towards a particular group. So you can get those a better meal when you mix it up and go more natural. Yes. Garden egg, for example, rich in fiber, will help you a lot in digestion. Carrots has carotene A, carotene that helps with eyesight. Yes. Also is been proven to have effect on having cancers. Tomatoes, the same thing. So
yes, because when there was a study I read then, it talked about I think in France they had this I'm trying to remember the particular component that was in that was in wine. I think it's lycopene, if I'm not mistaken, in wine. And they said, okay, people in France, they take a lot of lycopene because they find it in grapes, and it helps you, and that's why they don't have too many cancer cases. And then some people came up, the same thing in our tomatoes.
Yes.
Before you start thinking grape, we eat grape because we want lycopene, but it's not that. You have it in your tomatoes, you eat every day.
Yes.
So it's good. So we have the way God made it is the food in one country, the nutrient can also be in another food. In your country, which you can take a lot and live very well. And
for some of those red pigmented foods like tomato, carrot, they've been proven to have effect on preventing cancer, helping people who need help, also with your eyesight. And then combine the fact that when you take them under certain conditions, they also aid digestion. They serve as fibers. So you find out that you're eating something that will aid the whole complete functioning of the human body. Okay,
let's talk about fibers. Because the other day, I was also, as usual, always reading that because I'm passionate about the food. And when I go out to talk to people about, I complain a lot about, when we come to that, sodas. We take a lot of soda and in fact, the study has come out so much that, look, if you're taking soda, you're equally as endangering yourself like you're smoking, but we'll come to soda talk. But let's talk about fibers. It says that it helps a lot, in the body. What does fibers do? How do they help? And you say it's digestion,
Yes. Fibers essentially help with digestion. People with who take a lot of fiber in their meal essentially ensure that they don't suffer from a lot of intestinal issues like constipation, and in some cases other ailments. So if you want your body to absorb a lot of things you're taking, you have to bring in materials, food that are rich in fiber. Of course, that's common in vegetables. So from ugu to garden egg to abacha to carrot, they are all fibers. They would make sure that when you eat the thing, the body absorbs what it needs and then remove what it doesn't need. So for most things like pastries, they don't contain fibers.
Yeah, because if we remove the fibers,
yes. Interestingly, foods that are rich in fiber coincidentally are also rich in vitamins. So you're achieving two goals. So let's say I take ugu now, it will be rich. It's rich in a lot of minerals like manganese. These are trace minerals that enhance your memory and all that. So you have potassium here and there in those vegetables. I take carrot. It's also rich in carotene A, carotene B that will help me with my eyesight, lycopene, like you talked about. Garden egg, also the same thing. So you find out that when you are taking foods that are rich in fiber, sometimes those foods also contain other classes of food, particularly vitamins. And vitamins are very good because they help maintain the internal body processes, help you, your body not to go to the extremes, So, and there are vitamins that help you prevent fever. Vitamins that help you urinate properly. Vitamins that help you overcome cough. So all those things. While you're taking drugs, as you take those vitamins, they remove the reactions the body is having due to an infection. That's the primary goal. They go bind with radicals, what they medically you call radicals. So when the vitamins bind with free radicals, they mop them out and they are excreted. So that whatever you are suffering from, you can recover from it. So imagine you doing that consistently, taking in vegetables, taking in fruits. You find out that whenever the body is overreacting and you're suffering from inflammations due to infections, those things can easily be removed quickly before the infection get into a stage where you need a lot of medical attention. So you see people who are their diets are rich in vegetables and fruits easily don't get ill.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Under all things being equal.
All things being equal, of course.
Yes.
If you're taking dirty food and you're not monitoring your environment, you will get sick. But the thing is that it's the whole idea of having, and when we're talking of fruits and vegetables, they're not far away from us. They're really close to us.
Very close.
There's a malam or somebody close to you somewhere selling. If you go into the market, there is a lot of it. You see people buy everything, but not buy the things that are necessary. You know, just pick them, not in too many, not too much. You know, you might not need a whole lot of them.
But pick them.
But you can, if you want to get a lot of them, that's fine. But just pick a little and then you eat it along with your meal.
Yes.
Or don't make it something that you once in a while. Then you say, oh, let me try something healthy. Then you eat.
Yes.
And then something somebody taught me. You know, when we take orange or when we eat oranges, we tend to finish eating it and then we throw off the orange. You know, those days we'll open it.
Yes.
I'll pull inside and eat it.
And chew them.
And chew it.
That's the perfect fiber.
That's perfect fiber. So why is really? I don't even try to be posh about it.
No. Of course, if you do that, you're aiding digestion.
Yeah.
You can't. Those things are childhood behaviors children do, but for adults, that will help with your digestion. Now, most adults, close to 30 to 40%, suffer from constipation once in a month. And you know, constipations are intestinal disorders where food cannot be easily absorbed and you are excreting them. So fiber will go a long way in helping you. Then for people who are even immunodepressed, let's say you have a chronic disease, vegetables will help build your immune system. You know, and remove those radicals. Free radicals are those bad things that create inflammations in the body. Yes.
And they create problem, and that's where you start having unusual things happening around the body.
Yes, so the purpose of vitamins and all those anti-inflammatory substances is to go into the body, bind with those free radicals, and then remove them. So a common free radical is a negative oxygen. Oxygen is an element that occurs in pair, but when it's splitted in the body, it becomes a problem. So you could have a vitamin C organic compound go bind with that oxygen and pull it out of the bloodstream. That person gets himself. So if that oxygen radical was causing one or two problems, that would stop. So vitamins help a lot. And everything we do, from stress, from infections, we trigger inflammations that release free radicals. And those vitamins are essential in mopping them out of the bloodstream, out of the body.
Just before we go on the break, we know sometimes when we cook our vegetables, we tend to use a lot of palm oil, which I don't think it's a very good idea. You know, talking of quantity in terms of you know, if we're going to eat the ugu and eat the water leaf and eat the okazi, and I mean these foods are amazing. I was reading something about a doctor. Doctor wrote, you know, I think it's on Instagram, and he talked about one time they were in the hospital and they were trying to increase the blood level of a patient, and they kept on infusing different. And then the doctor, who is very old, and you know, one of their main consultants came in, and they explained to him. He said, "Okay, go and blend ugu for him to drink." And they were wondering, and they gave the guy, and in no time, look at the guy's blood level going up, you know, and you know, increasing.
Yes.
And they kept on doing it, and it came back to normal. And
Yes.
that's the old doctor who has seen the experience.
Yes. So in that case now, I would say that doctor is blending the experience of his environment. He understands certain plants and how they can help in internal body processes. That doctor should have a very good knowledge in, he should be a physician or along physiology. Of course, when you're a medical doctor and you understand the internal body processes, you can, of course, look at patients and recommend certain diets that can provide certain help at key moments in their recovery as convalescence. So usually that case, that doctor making recommendations may be based on what he observed. Yes. And usually the moment you have a lot of vitamins in the right condition, in the right quantity coming in, a whole lot of bad body reactions are minimized. Yes.
But I served where I served. It's when I was doing my master's, this is years ago. It is a research institute here, and that was the first time I just so you say a research and development institute here in Nigeria, and I went to this one of the that's the botanist. Yes, the botanist, and I went to his office once, and I got into the office, and there were leaves everywhere, different types. And I told him, "Are you a native doctor?" He said, "Yes." He started laughing.
But he's correct.
And he said, "Yes." I said, "How do you have this number of leaves?" He said, "Everything here, it's a medicine."
Yes.
It's just that it has not been, we know what it does when we take it. But of course, you need to purify it and bring out the active component. But, when he looked around, he said, "Everything here is medicine. Everything. Tell me any problem you have now. I'll tell you what to take."
So for example, when you asked him, "Are you a native doctor?" he's correct.
Yes.
You see, why do you call those people ancient doctors herbalists? Because they were specialists in dealing with herbs. Forget the spiritism aspect. You still have people who use herbs to cure people, and they don't need to consult any strange god.
Yes, and native doctor, actually, look at the word. Native doctor. It's just, you can call any doctor native doctor, even if you studied anywhere.
So a botanist is a specialist in studying plants. And so they're looking out for the phytochemicals. That means chemicals that come from plants. Those phytochemicals have antibacterial properties. Some have antiviral, meaning they can fight against bacteria. They can fight against virus. So when he's studying them, he's looking at, and then some of those plants have rich components of certain vitamins or trace minerals, that help children remember, or help an adult who's aging not to suffer too much of dementia. So when he's saying he's a native doctor, he's correct. So you see, this is how God has designed it.
And the scripture also talks about it, that God gave us the plant for food and medicine. So the medicine is in the plant.
Absolutely.
It's just that sometimes some people go overboard, like they just drink. Drink. So
of course, in that case,
then you
lose it, because some of those essential nutrients, when taken in large quantity, can tilt the balance in the body and cause your kidney to suffer. Most people who have issues taking drugs, concocted drugs that are in large concentration, they suffer a lot from kidney disorders. Your kidney shuts down. So that's why we say don't take it. Find a way to find a measured amount to take. Most medical doctors or research scientists who discover drugs travel to some of the thickest forests in the world, in Mexico, in Brazil. They go looking for phytoplants. They can be there for 5 months, 6 months. And all they're looking for is what are the properties of plants that can help. Malaria, for example, had to do with the back of a tree in Africa that had quinine. And when doctors began to experiment with coming up with medicines that can treat malaria, they went back to the ancient African traditions of using the backs of trees that contain quinine to treat malaria, and they used it very
just
efficiently.
To isolate the active component and then make it into the drugs we're taking today.
So either way, you see that medicine came from a lot of phyto research. That is plant-based research. So a botanist spends his time doing that. In fact, we actually are amateur botanists, every one of us. When you take time to eat vegetables, how do you feel? You can record them and take note. I had a staff, a colleague, who had ulcer sometime last year, and she struggled for a long time and was spending thousands of naira going to the hospital. And I just spoke with a colleague. I said, can you get her something natural she could use? And he said, okay, tell her to get the bags of garbage, remove 5 or 6 of them, put a little water and blend, and then take daily. So she went, but those garbage vegetable, and then pulled out the old bags, you know, and put some water and blended. After some days, she was all right. So the man, I asked him to come to the office and explain to her why that thing works. So he began to talk about the medical aspects of garbage, creating a soothing effect along the intestinal walls and allow injuries caused by ulcer, you know, to heal. You know, so and she stopped spending. So a few days ago, I asked her. I said, "Why did you pay doctor all those? In fact, bring the money for me." You know. So there's a whole lot you could do. So if somebody knows, I get 5 or 6 bags of garbage, put it in a blender, add some water. If I don't have blender, I get to the old mortar and pound and put some water, and then take daily. My ulcer will disappear. Why spend all that money in a very modern hospital, paying hundreds of thousands of naira for scanning and test you, and then with high-powered drugs that could easily have been sorted if you take the required vegetable or the required diet. So a whole lot could be done, and there are lots of ways people get well across the country. They don't need to see a doctor if you take the required amount of what is required, food.
Because I know recently I boiled ginger, lemon, and turmeric, and just put a little bit of honey. And I drank it, and I feel so good. I'm like, so why have I been drinking all these all these medicines and all that?
Yes, and of course, you know, ginger contains an anti-inflammatory called gingerol, an alcohol-based compound, a very super anti-inflammatory. Will help clear your lungs, help the body.
Even when you chew it. I know when I want to sing, when I want to go and sing and I can't understand my voice, I just put ginger in my mouth.
Absolutely.
And you chew it, and then you find that your airway is so clear.
Yes. Then you have lemon. It has a richer component of vitamin C than orange. One of the richest sources. One of the richest, not the richest anyway, but among the fruits, one of the fruits that contain high concentration of vitamin C. And vitamin C is very key. It's one of the few vitamins that are sold in a single format.
Actually,
and common. Because it plays a whole role in maintaining the body in the conditions you want it. And for doctors who understand this science, sometimes they just tell their patients, why don't you do this after taking so and so drugs, you know? And in fact, you are becoming a good doctor, your own doctor, if you if you're taking a lot of vegetables and vitamins. To add, longevity, you want to live long. Vegetables, vitamins, very important. Then a lot of protein.
Proteins. We're going to go on a break. When we come back, I want us to discuss soda. And we'll talk about soda, the drinks, and what we can be taking to replace some of them, you know, that are readily available for us, you know, now. So we'll be right back, viewers.
The most powerful antibiotic that not even doctors can explain. Honey effectively fights infections without causing resistant bacteria, unlike conventional antibiotics. A study published in the European Journal of Clinical Microbiology and Infectious Diseases found that honey destroyed every bacteria or pathogen they tested it on. Researchers found that it can be applied topically and taken internally. According to Dr. D. Carter, our research is the first to clearly show that these honey-based products could in many cases replace antibiotic creams on wounds and equipment such as catheters. Using honey as an intermediate treatment could also prolong the life of antibiotics. On the other hand, turmeric is another natural miracle with a myriad of health benefits. Its most important compounds are called curcuminoids, and it has powerful healing, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antiseptic, antibacterial and antifungal properties. The combination of these two is the most powerful antibiotic we can use. It is also known as golden honey and has been commonly used in Ayurveda medicine for thousands of years. Recently, its use has grown exponentially in Western medicine and nutrition. According to benefits of honey, this combination is an invaluable natural remedy for a myriad of ailments and diseases including indigestion, cold, flu, asthma, hypertension, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, arthritis, diabetes, heart diseases, depression and anxiety, inflammation of wounds and burns, eczema, psoriasis and acne, and aging, protects the liver and kidneys. Quote. Moreover, Turmeric Health adds, a study has shown that an Ayurvedic medicine containing turmeric and honey as two of the active ingredients stimulated the production and functionality of immune cells and thus, could result in improved immunity against diseases. Combining turmeric with honey enhances its antimicrobial activity. They can together act against a variety of bacterial and fungal strains known to cause infections in humans. Also, turmeric, along with honey, can improve skin hydration and elasticity and contribute to a better skin health. Turmeric and honey are useful in treating oral mucositis, which occurs as a complication of cancer treatments. Here is how to prepare it. Turmeric-infused honey. Ingredients: 1 teaspoon ground turmeric, 1/4 cup raw honey, 2 drops lemon essential oil. Instructions. Mix the ingredients, stir well, and cover. Store the mixture at room temperature, and stir it before each use. To fight the flu or a cold, take half a teaspoon of the mixture.
Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back. Before we went on the break, we were discussing your food and your health. We have talked about a whole lot. And one of our viewers just sent in a comment and said, I've been battling with ulcer for almost 2 years now. Thanks, I'll try the cabbage treatment. So the cabbage treatment you talked about, you'll try, take out the back, right?
Yes.
And then
3 to 5 bags, and then put little water and blend.
And
if you don't have a blender, you pound. Add little water. Let it be like a syrup. Drink daily.
Drink daily. Okay.
Yes.
That's a good one.
The lady who tried it said to me, well, after drinking, I still chewed some, and they were still working.
Yeah, because if you're drinking just like chewing it, we chew it raw. We don't. But wash it. It's important to wash, to ensure you don't take in.
Yes, wash it with warm water or clean water.
Right. Thank you so much for that comment. Thank you. So now we want to talk, before we went to the break, we said we're going to talk about fizzy drinks, sugary drinks, and juice and
all that.
Studies have shown that there's a particular soda that they said should be liable to die young if you drink, if you continue drinking this. So many people seem to be taking a lot of it. I mean, you eat swallow with soup, lots of carbohydrates. Then you take a bottle of one of those
drinks.
Fizzy drink. One guy that I follow online said any drink that should be a no-no this year.
Yes.
So what's your take on it?
Interestingly, sugar drinks, that's drinks that contain a lot of sugar, already you have a problem. Most high-performing athletes don't take sugar drink at all. Whether you're a footballer, a long-distance runner, they try to keep that out of their meal on a regular basis, once in a while. So there was this popular issue that came up with a well-known footballer called Cristiano Ronaldo. He was doing a press conference, and there was a bottle of Coke in front. So he moved the Coke and brought the bottled water closer. Though some people said the shares of Coca-Cola fell by quite a number of dollars. So, but the point is, even athletes are taught to spend time not taking sugar drinks. Why? Because you're taking a lot of sugar, and those sugars can bring a lot of complications. You just don't need that. So if I need Coke, why don't I go for a zero sugar Coke? There are Coke made by Coca-Cola company that are zero based, if you are so given to sugar drinks. Also, you also need to know that you want to live longer. And the moment you develop some of those sensitive diseases like diabetes, that can slow your longevity plan. That means you may find yourself where you get to middle age or in your 60s, you begin to struggle. So sugar drinks or soda drinks, whatever you want to call them, are usually not what you should have for young or matured base, even for children. Then you have juice. Some of those juice contain vitamins. Juice extracts, they're okay.
Fortified with, that's the word I was trying to find. They say fortified with vitamin C, fortified with... They are useful, but the sugar intake remains a problem. And then you have some of them having preservatives that can have other side effects that may have been known to trigger things like tumors or cancers. So you want to do away with that. I had a colleague that said she had a stomach upset and she went home and squeezed bitter leaf juice out and took and said, I felt well the next day. So people, rather than you go for something natural, plant-based drinks, oranges, that can also provide the same satisfaction you want from a sugar drink. So just in case you have a listener who wants to be an optimum athlete, somebody who is performing at the peak of his profession, you just need to remove that. Then you are a sedentary worker, you sit in the office, work. Of course, you don't need those drinks. The issue is, how do you source drinks that are not too rich with lots of sugar, but give you the nutrients that you need?
Yes, so there are a couple of things you could do. You could begin to have, you could buy fruits and then squeeze out at home. But of course, most of the fruits we have are also contain sugar. Yes.
But the sugars, are they not better than?
They're much better, of course. Those sugars are occurring in a natural setup, and of course that means that they won't be in a high concentration. So you could look at that option. I've seen people prepare things like zobo and
Yes, which is another good one. Of course, some people prepare zobo and put a lot of sugar in it.
And without sugar.
Without sugar, you can use, and then people use pineapple. They add fruits to it, and then it enhances the taste.
Then you also have cases where people have to use other sweeteners that are not sugar-based, that are like honey. I've also learned that sugar and cane doesn't contain, the last byproduct sugar is called sucrose. It doesn't break down to glucose often. So people also take sugar and cane drinks because it also helps with immune system and all that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because the sugar cane is so sweet. The juice, I've tried it once and I couldn't even go half a bottle. Not containing glucose that can lead to diabetes. Oh, really?
Yes.
So it doesn't break down to glucose?
It doesn't break down. The sugar there is sucrose.
And it stops the sucrose, which is...
Yes, which is okay.
Which is good. So, okay. Then I can go and take my...
Yes, you can.
Go take my sugar cane
You
juice.
can.
Because when I see it, I'm like, this is just too sweet.
So for people who have immunodepressed conditions, sugar cane is recommended. Sugar cane juice is recommended. Whether you have cancer, you have HIV, or you've been on a prolonged treatment, and you need something that can build the immune. They encourage, because you don't have to worry about the problems arising from excess glucose in the bloodstream. Of course, doctors know these things, and all the experts and
who are looking at this and know that okay, there. So, well, I'm really happy we've had this discussion today on the different our local diet. We've seen that number one, our vegetables are amazing. Our foods are wonderful. I know also this food is popular in the East. I think it's we call it oba. I think some other people call it oba cows. So
yes,
I don't know what the English name is. Sorry, I don't know what the English name is, but I know it has a lot of iron. I understand it has a lot of protein in it. And but when you're doing it, sometimes you reduce some of the things you do. Sometimes you just add a lot of things. And
of course, when you have an occasion like a wedding or child naming ceremony, and you prepare uba in the eastern part of Nigeria, they would drop every other thing and go for that, because it's thousands of years of eating that food. So it's as rich as eating a beans porridge mixed up with one or two things. So it's uba. It should be on your top of. It should be on the top of your list when you're taking proteinous foods and foods that contain essential minerals like iron and all that.
So we pretty much have everything.
We do.
We have everything. If we look, and every region has the one that's peculiar.
Very peculiar.
You know, to
yes, like the moringa plant in the north, very useful.
Yes, the moringa. You know, at the point they even call it tree of life.
Yes. Some.
It felt like everything it had the solution to almost
that's
everything.
A northern a plant that grows a lot in the north. Very useful, and could do a whole lot for people.
Wow.
Yes, it's also useful for people who are immunodepressed, people who are suffering from chronic illnesses. They use it to prepare soup or prepare a relevant food they want, in jollof rice and whatever. But of course, these things are common among northern locals. Yes. So you have that. Then you have a lot of other special plants here and there.
I think if we start talking about all the food we have in Nigeria, we may not even finish exhausting them in one program. But I think we'll still have another discussion.
Yes.
We need to have another discussion on the foods, so that we'll take time to analyze foods more. I love this area, because if we get our food right, then we've solved almost more than 70% of the problem.
Absolutely.
If we can get eating right, the beginning of our problem started when we started eating what we don't need.
What we don't need.
What is our body doing.
Absolutely. And of course, one of the ways to make people to see the need to eat certain kind of local foods is to have a program like this. So that addresses a very important need to make those foods appealing
to them.
Because part of the problem we have in eating certain kind of meals is that we see them on TV, we watch them in adverts, so we think they are appropriate for the body, but they aren't.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Goodwill Ogbuefi, for coming on the program. I really enjoyed this program today because I'm passionate about this topic and I can't stop saying it. So thank you for your knowledge, and I'm pulling you back, so just wait for my call. You're coming back so that we'll talk more on this. Maybe we'll join with some other guests so that we can discuss more on we can't talk enough on our food and our health. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope to see you soon again. And thank you, viewers, for the past couple of minutes we've been discussing your food and your health. I know you have learned a lot. Like one of our guests that sent in a comment said you'll try one of our treatments today. Please write us back and let us know what happened, so that we can also start recommending to other people. Maybe this is the solution to some other kind of pain that people have. Thank you for joining us on the program today. I'm Angela Emeka Ebibo. I'll see you some other time. Bye.